Hi, everybody. First and Franklin Bridge Pastor Steve Nofel here, talking about all-in stewardship once again. For decades, I have misquoted the Apostle Paul in Philippians 4, verses 8 and 9 on purpose to make Paul just a little bit more palatable to our modern sensibilities and our modern notion of humility. He begins in verse 8 by saying, "Finally, my beloved, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is pleasing, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things." So far, so good. Then he says, keep on doing the things that you have learned and received and heard. Now I misquote. All the things that you have learned and received and heard and seen in your spiritual heroes, in those wonderful people who have come before you and have brought you to this point in your faith life. Imitate them, and the peace of God will be with you. It took me a long time to get over misquoting him. First of all, I had to think about my wife going all in her life in Christ. And then I remembered a conversation I had with my dad many moons ago. So then I could claim for Paul and for us, for each of us who are Christians doing our best to follow him, that we too can be admired and imitated. Paul actually says in verse 9, keep on doing the things that you have learned and received and heard and seen in me, and the peace of Christ will be with you. My dad, George Nofel, never pushed me in any one career direction. He would listen and offer advice, but he would never demand or dictate. Both mom and dad were 100% Lebanese, with three of my grandparents coming to the U.S. at the turn of the last century from southern Lebanon. And our folks raised myself and my two brothers in the city of Cleveland. When I was about halfway through my seminary career, about 35 years ago, mom calls and says, hey, we're having Lebanese for supper, stuffed grape leaves and kibbeh. If you're free, I made myself free. So we're eating. And then right out of the blue, Dad dictates, you should be a funeral director. Because my mouth was full of rice and meat and leaf, I hesitated. Plus, I was dumbfounded. No one had ever said anything about funeral director before, and Dad never dictated. So I didn't answer right away. So he took the opening and went on. He said, we're Lebanese. And there are no Lebanese or Arabic funeral homes in Northeast Ohio. With your skills, you could make a fortune. Now, Dad just complimented my skills, and I was always broke. So this should have been something to consider, But it absolutely wasn't. Once I swallowed his words and my part of my dinner, I told Dad that I'm called to be a pastor. I'm called by Jesus Christ to be a pastor. And you know what, folks? I'm still waiting for that financial fortune to come my way. As I thought about this, I thought about myself, who I am. I don't always focus on the commendable and pleasing and honorable. But I really have gone all in with my career, my life. And I can say not because I'm prideful or with any pride or anything like that, but having given my life to Christ, I think I can do it. You can too. You can too. So what is your calling? How are you called to go all in? I was called to be a pastor and then defined as interim, transitional bridge pastor. What is the calling in Christ to which you have been called? Choir, giving, teaching, being an elder, deacon, minister, prayer. What is it? What is it you are called to dedicate your life to in Jesus Christ, to go all in Christ? Now, about my wife, Kim. I will never forget the day she was overheard in a conversation at Presbytery, and she became someone for all small member church pastors to imitate. As I said, we're at a Presbytery meeting, and it was BC, before children. We were in the lunch line, and a lovely retired pastor declared to her, "You need to get out of that church you're in." At the time, Kim was in the middle of an 11-year pastorate with a congregation in a tiny town with less than 100 members, and everything was going great. She too was dumbfounded, so the retired pastor kept talking. He went on and on about what a great pastor Kim is. Absolutely right, she is great. He went on and on about how many gifts and talents she has for ministry, what a great preacher she is, and how great young pastors need to keep moving up the church ladders. Kim flashed her smile at him and said, "Small churches need good pastors too." I proudly tell you that on October 30th, Kim celebrated her 30th anniversary as an ordained minister, and she has exclusively served small member churches. And she too is waiting for that financial fortune. But both Kim and I are like George Bailey from It's a Wonderful Life. We're the richest people in town. And the peace of Christ, which surpasses all understanding, is with us. We've gone all in. We've tried our best for Christ. And that makes us rich. What is the calling to which you have been called? What's your calling in Jesus Christ? Choir, giving financially, teaching, being an elder, deacon, minister, prayer? What is it? How can you dedicate yourself to Jesus Christ? How can you go all in? And I'm telling you, once you go all in, you will receive the greatest fortune of all, the peace of Christ, which surpasses all understanding. We'll see you later.